What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back to a special edition of The Lonely Dad. Name pending, right?
Yeah.
Because now the wifey has joined me and we have a new concept. But anyway, I want to introduce the wifey one more time, the Plantastic Mom. Her information down below. Definitely check out her YouTube channel. All about plants, plant life. She loves it and she's all about it. And today we are all about, we've been listening to music, which we're going to keep doing. And then breaking down what the lyrics mean to us and relating them to us, right? Like what real life, Today we wanted to do something that we've literally never done. I've never done it, she's never done it, where we give you a peek, a full view of our life, how mixed we really are as parents from our children, and how we deal with it and how we felt along the way. Because we have a really unique situation that a lot of people either don't go through or don't know about.
Yeah.
So we want to show it with you. And we talked about this for a while. We were actually kind of nervous. We actually asked one of our sons for permission because you'll find out in a minute. And it's time to talk about it. So I really hope you guys enjoy this episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
I think it is a little scary because we're going to start talking about things that we probably, even you and I together, haven't
Never
really talked about.
Yeah.
But I like this concept. I feel like it's going to open up so much more, and it's open for questions and people to kind of chime in on. I like that idea because it could make it and a forever conversation.
Yeah, and I'm all about just helping the community at whole. So if anybody clicks on this video, any parent or anybody kind of going through a similar thing, if it could help you in any way, that's the whole point of this video.
For sure. And
if I'm looking like this right now, it's because I have an issue going on with my arm. We'll talk about that later. It's been going on for like over a year now. Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Title of this video, I'm not sure exactly yet, but it is going to be living, growing, being a parent of one of the most diverse families. And it's going to be Black, Mexican, white, gay. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. So going off the title and by the thumbnail, you might take it as, oh, they adopted, they did this on purpose because they're just so accepting or yada yada. None of that is true. None of this was planned.
No.
Our diverse family, I used to have this joke when I used to do stand-up comedy.
I forgot about
when I used to
Skittles.
say, we're all of this. And when we walk down the street, people get confused because we look like a bag of fucked up Skittles. And people would laugh, and I would be like, we have gotten so many looks going out together as a family.
Oh my God. I guess I've never really paid attention to it, but that's
No,
so
yeah,
true.
some people are like, oh, these are your kids? Yeah, those are my kids.
Huh?
And this is your wife? This is okay, who's this?
Yeah.
And then, my youngest daughter and my oldest daughter we're sisters. And people were like, how?
Yeah.
Like, we get that all the time.
Yeah.
So the way it started was I was married before. She was married before. With my first marriage, I was married. She was Black, and we had 2 kids together, half Black. Both of them technically identify as mixed, but they tend to gravitate. I know my son does more towards the Black culture. And like
and
Black.
then Kennedy's the opposite. Kennedy kind of leans more towards
my
Hispanic
daughter.
culture.
Now, as far as appearance, my daughter looks just like her mom. My son, I think, looks mixed, but you could tell obviously that he's Black or that his mom's Black. So it was hard on them. Anyway, on her side, your son, you're Caucasian.
I'm Caucasian.
Yeah, your son was.
I am Caucasian. My son, my oldest son is my oldest son. Like I have 2 sons. My son is Hispanic, mixed. Hispanic. I can't even talk.
Mexican. Yeah.
Yes.
Last name. Well, we don't have to say all that, but anyway, Mexican, right?
Yeah.
So, you're Caucasian. Your son's half Mexican, Hispanic. I'm Mexican, and my kids are half Black. We met each other. We've been together. It's a long story, but when we got together, like for real, our kids were like 9, 8, something like that. We knew each other before that, but when we really got together, our kids were about 8. So they were all around the same age.
Which was kind of perfect
it
because
was.
they literally were a year apart.
Yeah, they got to click and be together, so it was actually a blessing. Years later, we had Capri, who was our baby together. And that's the one that Army knows, right? She is half Hispanic or Mexican, half white, right? Which is funny as hell because you already know what I was saying.
Yes.
Which is funny as hell because the other day she was talking to her older brother.
My son.
Yeah, Oscar, my stepson. And she was like, "You're more white. I'm more Mexican." And he was like, "What? Like, what does that even mean? We're both white and Mexican." And she was like, no, because you're more white, I'm more Mexican. And I'm laughing. And then he's saying like, "No, I'm more Mexican," or yada, yada. And then Katrina's like,
What about me?
She's
Y'all
like, "What
just
about
don't
me?
even care about me.
Y'all trying to cut me out of the equation?" Which is funny because I know exactly how she feels because there's been conversations when my
Yeah.
kids were like going through identity things and they were like, "We're black," or people call us black all the time because a lot of people in my family would identify my kids as black and I would get pissed.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like that left me out of the equation. And I would be like, they're mixed. And they didn't do it in mean spirit.
No, but you
That's
felt
just what
that
they
way.
did.
Yeah.
They would literally walk up to my kids, just kids, like sometimes under 10, sometimes in their teens. And they would be like, "Oh, hey, as a black person, how do you feel?" And I would look at them like, "Why
What
the
do you
fuck
mean? Yeah, why would you do that?
stop doing that?" Like, it would piss me off. Why don't you word it different?
Yeah.
And I'd get mad, but to my kids, they're just like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever." And it irritated me. And the only reason why it irritated me is because I always feel like to me, I don't know if you guys ever deal with this, but if your kid is mixed and they only refer to themselves as one thing, then I'm like, well, where am I?
Yeah.
Because you're not one thing.
Right.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
both things.
That's why I always preach to my kids, say you're mixed. I go, if you ever put on a job application that you're white or that you're black, or you're dating, I even told my son this, if you're dating a girl, this could sound really bad, and she's into black guys, you're black. I was like, do what it takes, baby. Do what it takes. I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, such a man.
And that's why I said to them, how you guys identify on tests in school and jobs, I don't care. Like, you got to do what you do.
Yeah.
I do not. That doesn't matter at all to me.
I will say that both Kennedy and Chris have come to you separate times, and both of us at separate times, saying how they are not enough for one side and not enough for the other side, and they have to figure out where they meet in the middle, and that's a struggle for them.
They go through the struggle, and it's definitely more than the kids that are half white, half Mexican, because the kids that are half white, half Mexican look white, or they look light-skinned Mexican.
Yeah.
Very light-skinned. And when you're very light-skinned, I feel like even though you're mixed, you go through less of the prejudice because
you're letter skin. Yeah, for
you
sure.
could ID like pretty easily. Like I don't know, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
When you're half black and something
Sad
else, these communities are really strong in their beliefs. So either they will look at you like you're not Mexican enough or you're not black enough. And my kids went through that.
Yeah.
And it
And
sucked.
they still kind of do go. Luckily, they're out of
yeah.
school, so they don't have to deal with it as much
Right.
on a day-to-day basis, but they still struggle with that.
I hated it because the crazy thing is, that's how naive I was. I didn't even think that of. I always just looked at my kids like I have beautiful mixed kids.
Right.
I know they're beautiful and like everybody else does. That's it.
Right.
But then they get older and they actually get teased or haters because they think that they want to be them or look like them or their hair's different or whatever or they're light skinned, whatever reason, and they get mocked. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, it caught me off guard.
It's like literally making me tear up. That's crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Like, it was unexpected. And I knew it's a thing, obviously. I lived long enough. I got fucking teased for different things when I was a kid. You know the crazy thing, y'all, real quick? When I was a kid, I was so self-conscious as being the darkest one in my family. And I thought I was ugly. Nobody really made me feel that way. The kids did, you know what I'm saying? But like my parents and stuff like that never did. But I always tried to compare myself to my brother, who was very light-skinned.
His brother is very light-skinned.
Yeah, he was a cute kid, very light-skinned. He looked Caucasian. Everybody always said how cute he was. Oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Nobody ever said that shit. Like, I did not. I was just the goofy one, right? I didn't get compliments until I became an adult and started getting self-esteem.
But you also grew into yourself.
Yeah, and then I grew into myself and I started getting out there. Then the sad thing is when I started getting so many compliments and approached by women, I didn't even know how to handle it. I wasn't used to it. I thought some of them were messing with me because I wasn't used to being treated like that.
Right.
And I was like, wait, I'm good looking now. But anyway, long story short, I went through that. My daughter, Kennedy, my oldest, who's half black, she went through it.
Yeah.
She always compared herself to her younger brother. And then on top of that, her skin. She thought she was dark, which she was. She's my skin color.
She's pretty light.
But if anybody teased her or yada yada, she went through this crisis.
Yeah.
She probably still kind of does. I'm not really sure.
I'm gonna say I being Caucasian, went to a school where it was predominantly black, and got teased for being white. I was picked on for being white because I stood out amongst the crowds, you know. So I kind of feel the same way. I grew up in these it was a diverse school, but it was predominantly black, and I was like the little white nerd girl. I had big granny glasses, and so I kind of feel like what you were saying, how you kind of once you started getting the attention, it was just like, whoa, okay, all right, I look good, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt, because I didn't get that kind of attention really until I got into middle school and high school, where I felt like, okay, maybe I'm cute, you know.
Right.
So when I got the attention, I was like, ooh, attention, you know, and I just kind of ran with it. But that was stop it. But it's a hard thing.
She's still running with it, by the way. It's just a marathon.
Yep, he does everything I want because of it.
Marathon, and it's exhausting. I'm playing. You beautiful girl. You're beautiful.
Yeah.
Sexy as hell. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I kind of got bullied on the other side of it, which is, you know, it's such a crappy situation, is that you can't just be yourself, you know, with all the kids and anybody in this world. It's sad to say that you can't just be yourself and not have to worry about those things.
It is weird. I guess I don't know. I feel like I was just so busy focusing on them and just thinking that it was all good. And man, my kids are so beautiful. And then when we got together, had Capri, I was like, man, our daughter's so beautiful. I didn't ever think about the later years. Like, I just thought everything was it's just gonna work out, you know? And then when I saw them going through individual identities, and some of their friends were like, you ain't down with us. And the other half was like, you ain't down with us. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just breaks your heart as a parent. Yeah. And I know, you know, my mom probably went through some of that with me. Actually, I know she went through some of that with me, but it's crazy how patterns have a tendency to repeat themselves. Like, I went through certain things, then my daughter went through certain things, my son, you know. Our daughter now, Capri, she's so young, she hasn't really went through it yet, but I could already see the wheels turning in her head, where she's like, wait a minute, I'm Mexican, I'm white, like I'm this, I'm that. Like, she's starting to figure it out. And a lot of her friends are, the cute thing is, a lot of her friends are black. And the other day, Kennedy, my oldest daughter, was here, and she's, you know, half black. And my daughter told her, I have a black sister. And all her friends were like, you ain't got no black sister. How you got a black sister? So as soon as Kennedy came over, she FaceTimed
She was
her.
like, look, I got a black sister.
She FaceTimed her.
She was so proud.
And she was like, let me see your sister. They were like, let me see your sister. And she puts her on, and Kennedy was like, hey. And then he was like, what? How are y'all sisters? You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said, if we go out in public, we obviously look white, Mexican, and black. Yeah. We obviously look like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So people are kind of confused. And then when I point to her, oh, this is my mom.
These are my
this
kids.
Is the wife.
They're like,
these
wait.
are our kids, because we claim them as our kids,
yeah.
right? They're like, well, how does a brown guy and a white lady get some black kids, you know? And the other one, which we'll get into, I'm not sure now or later, but my stepson, her son, Oscar, recently came out in the last year, about a year ago.
It was about a year and a half now.
Yeah, so he's half white, half Mexican. That he was gay. And he'd been struggling it for a long time.
The crazy thing is for years since he was kind of like right at that 10-year-old, 11-year-old mark, he went silent. Yeah. Like he would talk to us and stuff, but he never talked about his lifestyle, what he likes, who he likes, friends, nothing. He wouldn't even really have friends over.
He didn't talk about
nothing.
Like how all the kids would have a crush. Yeah. Or posters on the wall. Nothing.
He was just silent. He would not talk to anybody about it for years. Yeah. I mean, like from 11 to now, like just a year ago when I found out. Yeah. when he started talking to me. That's a long time. And I
Yeah.
would always be like, you know, you can talk to me like no matter what.
Kind of hinting.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm here. I love you no matter what. You know, I kind of already knew, but at the same time, I didn't want to force that on him and let him know, oh, I know you're gay. You know, like I didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. So I was just
Right.
like, please just feel comfortable with talking to me, you know. But for a long time, he just wouldn't. And
Yeah.
then now I can't get his ass shut up. Now he tells me everything.
Yeah, he went from like hush, hush, creep,
Timid,
creep
quiet.
to like I'm gay. You know, he went like. He went, and let me tell you like this.
Do that again.
What?
I'm gay.
I'm gay. Like, that's the voice.
That's the voice he
When
always
you're loud,
does.
I actually did it to him and he started laughing. But anyway, let me set this straight real quick. He was never. He's like a man's man. He's not flamboyant. He's
Yeah.
not really feminine.
No.
He's not. Like he did normal boy stuff growing up.
Yeah.
He just did boy stuff.
And he
You
still
know?
feels like that.
And so it was not like we were like, oh, we know. No, it was just like.
We just kind of assumed.
But it was only because he was so quiet and he did things like just a little different where it was like maybe. So that thought was always in the back of the head, but never really there. But when he finally came out, that's a whole nother story. I don't feel like we have to tell that story. That's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
when that finally happened, we were like, okay, I guess this makes sense now.
Yeah.
And he told everybody. He
took time, but
yeah,
he
made his rounds for the most part.
yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, and he received the same response. The same response of,
Well, you're just same old Oscar.
well,
we
we're
love you
just
no
same
matter
old
what.
Oscar. We
Yeah.
love you. And we had to reassure him. I had to tell my daughter this, my kids, you know.
I know Kennedy was mad because he didn't tell her first.
My oldest daughter
She
was
was so
mad
upset.
because she felt like, how the hell did you never tell
And
me
they're really close. Like him and her were like tight.
Yeah.
So obviously he felt some type of way about it, or he would have said something to
Or
her.
he might have thought she might have told somebody or something.
Maybe, but I can understand why she was just like, what the hell? Like, you didn't
Right.
tell me, you know, you didn't tell me nothing and whatever. So
Yeah.
he was just like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to talk about too is, like I said, we have all this diversity in our family. None of it was political or to prove a point, or none of this planned.
Yeah.
I just had kids with my first wife. She had kids with her first guy. We fell in love. We got together.
Yeah.
It just, the dice rolled where they rolled. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then one day we're like, whoa, we're actually really mixed up here. You
Yeah.
know? And even with our son coming out, I want to make it clear that we're not like, we don't have all the answers, and we're not just
No.
like, hey, we're just pro this way or anti this way. No, we are pro love. We are pro for our kids. That's one of the things I rock with her so much, because I saw it in her from her early time. I was like, man, she will literally die for her kid. She will throw herself on a railroad track. She will, like, whatever. She will do that. And I'm the same way. Like, we are funny and laughing here on this camera right now, but if it was something with our kids, it might be some shooting going on.
My
You know what I'm
kids are
saying?
coming
Like,
first.
like we don't play
Yeah.
at all when it comes to the kids.
Yeah.
So we always both had that.
That's something I told Oscar when he came out.
Really?
I told him, I said, I don't give a fuck what nobody says, because you're my son. And if it's just me and you against the world, I don't give a fuck. We'll go together. And that's still how I feel. I don't care if anybody feels any type of way about him, because that's my son.
Right.
That's my blood.
Right.
Like, I would never in a million years ever make him feel like I don't love him for any reason.
Right.
So
That's why, you know, I had some people told me, like, well, what did you do? How did you feel? And I'm like, and I told them, and they kind of looked at me like, they didn't say anything, but they kind of looked at me like they would have handled it different. And I was like, what was I supposed to do?
right.
Kick them out? Stop being my son? Like, what was I, like, tell me. And they just shut up, like, well, I don't know. I was like, all right, what was I supposed to do?
Right.
So I'm like, look, I don't have the answers. And I'm not going to lie to you. I never thought I would be in this situation.
Right.
I don't think anybody does until you're there.
Until you're there.
Right. Nobody does until they're there. And then when you're there, you're like, oh, okay.
Okay,
For
how
me,
am I going to handle this?
I'm very, like, literal, or like I start doing research. I start, like, looking into
You
it, even
analyze it.
from a religious point of view, a Christian point of view. I'll go deeper, because I really feel, and this is not to offend anybody, but I really feel that most people are on the just chapter 1 when it comes to learning, when it comes to scriptures, when it comes to God, no matter what religion you are.
Yeah.
We're very
There's a handful of people in this world that have dove deep, whatever, like you have into that type of thing, into what it means to be a Christian, or what the realistic, part of all that is. But it's not common for people to actually dive deep and search up all the answers.
That was my main problem. Is like, why is a society? Why are we so quick to take something that somebody else told us, our mom, our grandma, a Sunday school teacher, somebody that we weren't really paying attention to, something that we never even read ourselves. Like most people can't even tell me the name or the chapter of the scripture. Like, so, but we take
I heard it.
we take that little information. Get out of my house! Yeah. Like, we're so quick to hate over that. We're so quick to disconnect over that. And when it comes to my kids,
it's like we were saying earlier. Hold on, that people are killing for things like that.
Yeah, people will kill for things like that, and I'm like, how are we so easy to do this extreme stuff when we have this much of that knowledge? In what, if I'm going to be extreme, I'm going to know everything, and not only in my belief, but your belief, their belief. I'll need all the facts,
right? Because
this is fucking big. You telling me that I should hate somebody in my family and kick them out?
Right.
I need to know everything,
right?
Because tell me where that sounds right. You know what I'm saying?
I probably would just be like, fuck you, because that's not going to change my mind anyway.
Yeah. So. And we're not talking about, obviously there's extreme cases
right.
where we're talking about hurting people.
Right, no.
I'm not talking about none of that. We're just talking about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, even though we had that attitude, it was still confusing.
Yeah,
it was
still hard.
Kind of, I don't think I was ever upset, but it was just like, hard to deal with at times, because you have to wrap your head around, like, okay, well, this is the way it's going to be now.
Yeah.
And then they start to introduce you to people, and you're like, wow, this is really happening.
Yeah.
Okay, like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And then it becomes just like, hey, what's your name? Okay, well, let's meet you, young man. And then it's a thing.
Yeah.
You're there.
Yeah.
You're there.
And you can't change it. It is what it is.
And we are here.
Yeah.
And like I said, just because we're saying it, it's like, it's none of this is to, what people do, virtue signaling on social media. Look, I'm proud and I'm this and that. None of this is for that.
What does that mean? What is what?
Virtue signaling. Like a lot of people make posts or proclamations or whatever on social media, especially on Twitter, to show what a good person I am. Oh. Look what I did today, y'all. Look who I supported for. Look who I donated for. Like, they're doing it all to show you how good I am.
Yeah.
They're virtue signaling, right? Mm-hmm. So the whole point of this video was to show none of that, because we're admitting that
we don't even have to post this.
Yeah.
I don't even care. This.
Let's be real. Most of the Army's not even gonna watch this video,
right?
Because of the title and because it doesn't have to do with BTS. So it is what it is. But anyway, I felt it on my heart that it had to be out there, because I felt like there's people going out there, whether you're kids or you're the parents.
I think there's a struggle that comes with all of that, everything that we just talked about. Your skin color, right? You can be either too light or you could be too dark.
Yeah.
You could be too straight or you could be too gay. You could be too little, you could be too big. You could be whatever the case is, there's a struggle in all of that.
Yeah.
So I guess this is kind of more or less just like a let's come to the center. Let's show that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's okay to be who you are.
Right. The other thing too is like what you were saying, there's a struggle for this or that. The thing is, social media, y'all, and I'm here to tell you the truth, a lot of you guys watched us being together for the first time, and you were like, man, I love them so much. They're such a great couple. No wonder. Somebody made a comment saying like, oh, no wonder Ernesto was like that. He has such a loving atmosphere and a family. And to be true, I do. Like, I'm blessed to have such an amazing family that I do, and I'm blessed to have my close family right here, as far as like my wife and my kids, right? But I promise you, like what you guys see on social media, you see videos that are like 5 minutes to 20 minutes long, right?
Yeah.
Anybody and everybody can be happy in that amount of time, all right? And they're going to be, because they press record on the camera. But I promise you, as soon as that camera goes off, they can get into a fight. They're sick, they're hurting, you know what I'm saying? They might be fighting with their kids, money problems. Like, it is all everywhere. Social media is a mirage. Like, it is a damn mirage. You know what I'm saying?
Is.
So I thank you guys for your comments. because yes, I feel like we have an awesome relationship, but trust me when I tell you, we fight.
We definitely fight and we argue and we don't agree sometimes.
Yes.
And it's not pretty and we can yell. And
Yeah.
he don't like to yell. I like to yell. He likes to shut it down when I yell. It's something I grew up with. I don't know. Anyway, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is it's not always rainbows and butterflies.
No.
And it's always going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Not a bad fight. It's
Yeah.
a good fight. A fight knowing that we want this to continue
Yeah.
no matter how hard it gets.
Mm-hmm. And y'all know, this is another story for another time, is when we first got together, we really had nowhere to live.
Yeah.
So we
I think I blocked that
somehow,
out.
I got an apartment for us. That ended up not working out because it was tied to a job. Then we moved back. We moved back with my mom for a short second, like living in an extra room that wasn't a room. And
We
then
lived with a friend for a week.
we lived with
We
a
lived
friend
with
for
my
a week.
mom for a week.
Yeah, we lived
But
with
not a
her
week,
mom
but
for like 2 years.
years.
She had like a little outhouse in this yard.
We call
was-
it the shack.
Call it the shack. No electricity. Just, I mean, that was, if we showed you
Man.
the insides of that thing, holy
I
crap.
have I don't know if I have photos of the inside of it. I think I
Yeah.
have a photo of the outside of what it looks.
Yeah. We even lived at a budget suites for
Oh, I
like
forgot
a
about
month.
that.
Yeah, something like
The
that.
kids loved it though, because we were all in one room.
That was the thing. Is during this time, even though it was crazy, the kids were so young that they loved. They were like, "All of this is an adventure." You know what I'm saying? And we were like, "Holy crap!" We tried to make it. We had food stamps at one point. You know what I'm saying? So to get where we are now is a huge blessing.
Yeah.
It's a huge blessing. And then the last thing, I guess I want to wrap it up. I guess we can go more. Was from all of this. Think of all of this. Now imagine you're a step parent.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really feel step parents do not get as much credit as
They
they
don't.
deserve. Holy shit. To be a parent, because I'm a parent and a step parent, right?
Same. Yeah.
And both are hard, obviously. Some will have the argument that one is harder than the other. I get that. But when you're both, you know what I'm saying? You can see both sides. And I can tell you, like, being a step parent, most of the women I dated before you had kids already. That's just the way.
And same for me.
Yeah.
I've been a step parent before. It's not an easy role, especially when you're taking that, like the relationship and splitting it.
Yeah.
As a step parent, you still feel connected to those kids.
Right.
And you're now separating, so now you have to. I mean, how do you do that? How do you take your life away from a child who you were with for years and be like, that's it. It's like you're breaking up with the whole family. It's so hard.
It sucks. It's a shitty situation for everybody, you know.
Especially for people who actually care about kids.
Right.
Because there are people out there.
Right.
that
All
don't, but-
situations are different. Like my brother, he got divorced and he kept his relationship with those kids. He even told his current girlfriend, he was like,
These
look,
are my kids.
this is the way it's going to be. I will always be in these kids' life. Now, the kids happen to be growing in certain ways, so they might not always want the
stick
connection.
around, yeah.
Because it's life and kids are growing. But he does, you know,
Yeah.
and he has kept it as long
I
as...
commend him for that because it's not easy.
No, not at all. Especially when they ended on such horrible terms. Like, it was a bad divorce, you know what I'm saying? So he did...
Sorry.
Yeah, he tried to keep them as close as he could for as long as he could, and he still does. But when you're going through all this as a step parent, it's double hard on the perspective that since they're not your child,
There's only so much you
only
can do.
so much you could do. I did not. She would tell me for such a long time to discipline my stepson, and I would be like,
Which honestly is hard. Sorry to take that away from
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's hard for me in general, and probably for every parent, right? To relinquish like that. What am I trying to say? The
authority.
the authority. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. As I said in one of our other videos, it was always just me and my son. Always. Even if I was in a relationship, I was the one. It was me and my son, always. No one else really stepped up to do that.
Yeah.
So when I got with him, I was like, at some point, I was like, shit, I'm going to have to let him do that. I'm going to have to step back. I would literally tell him to go discipline him, and I would go to the bathroom and cry. Because I didn't know how to let go, but I knew I had to, and I didn't know.
And listen, I'm not one of those guys that like just can't wait to do it. So
No,
it was
he's
so
not.
awkward for me because don't get me wrong, he's the sweetest kid now.
Yeah.
Well, he was young.
He was
Holy
a
shit.
handful.
Holy shit. Anyway, so I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
There were moments, honest to God, where I was like, man, I don't know if I am up to this. Like, this is a lot. You know, like, I didn't even have full custody of my kids. I had my kids every other week or every other weekend.
And here I am. Take care of my kid.
That's the thing, y'all. That's crazy as shit if you think about it. I would even trip out about it. I was like, man, I don't even have my kids every day. I have my kids every other weekend and holidays and summers, right? But I have this kid that I just met every day.
Now he moved in with you. That's your kid.
And
now.
I'm just tripping out like, wow, this is my reality. Like, I'm just here. I'm just a stepdad. And the kid doesn't know any better. He's just going through what he's going through, right? But the other thing that made it hard was like, okay, now I have to discipline. I feel awkward about it. I'm going to have to ease into this thing. But also, he has a dad out there.
Yes.
His dad is a long story. I won't really get into that. But he was in and out of his life throughout all these years.
Yeah.
So it's very complicated. Wasn't the best situation, you know. So I never made it.
I don't even know if I could imagine being that, like in your shoes in that situation.
Oh, feeling like that?
Yeah.
Because before I say that, I always made it known to him that I was not taking the place of his dad.
Yeah.
I was like, I know you have a dad, and I know he loves you.
And I think he respects you a lot for that.
You know, and I know your dad wants to do better. I know he loves you because he's literally does crazy shit for you, but his life is not there and he's not able to. It's very complicated. So maybe you'll understand more when you get older. That's why I was like, I'm here. And now I call him my son, right? But I know you have a dad.
Yeah.
And I don't mean no disrespect by me calling you son. I just want you to know how I look at you.
Yeah.
Because on the flip side, with Katrina dealing with my ex or baby mama, however you want to hear it, it was a different situation.
Because she was in their lives 24/7.
24/7.
That was their primary home.
Yes. So it wasn't easy.
No,
it wasn't easy
It
because at
definitely
first it was actually rough. But they actually became to where they could be cordial together.
Yeah.
Like anytime, hey girl, how you doing? You know?
Yeah.
And I was like kind of tripping on that. Like,
You know what tripped me out the most? And it took a lot of years to get here. But at Christopher's graduation, when Gina pulled me to the side and she was just like, sorry, I didn't mean to say her name. When their mom pulled me to the side and they were like, or she was like, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've done for the kids because
oh yeah,
they look up to you and they love you and you've done more with them than anyone and you're like a second mom to them. And she was crying. She was like tearing up to me and she was telling me that. That is a huge step in our relationship. And secondly, like just an honor, a badge to wear because as a step parent, to be honored by the other woman is not common. It's not common. So I just felt so, I still take that today. Like I carry that with me. It's like a badge on my shirt. Like I feel honored to have that because that's not something that you get.
Yeah.
Very often.
I cried.
And coming from our relationship like that, it wasn't always the best. So
when I thought about that and when she told me that was probably the sweetest thing she had ever told me in my life. Because me and her weren't always on good terms.
It was very up and down.
Yeah. When we got divorced, it was like we sat down at a Starbucks and we agreed on everything 50-50. Like we did not fight. But in saying that, we were not always on the same page.
Yeah.
And when she told me that, I always looked at her like she was able to give my kids everything because she was stable. She was always working. She was doing the damn thing and she was a good mom. And I was like, wow. And I was not financially stable for a long time. So I always felt bad. But then when she told me years later that she was actually thankful because I was able to show the kids a stable relationship that she was not.
Yeah.
Because at the time she was, she's engaged now, but for those years she wasn't.
Yeah.
And she was like, you were able to show the kids a stable relationship and to show them a loving relationship.
Yep.
And I
she
was
said
not.
that they preferred sometimes to be at our house because it was more stable.
So she was like, thank you for that. I fucking, not at the time, but later I cried my ass off because I never thought.
That you would be
I didn't know what, I never thought of that. I just thought I was just raising kids.
Right.
You know?
And you just bust your ass trying to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
So for somebody to say that and to while like, she actually appreciates me. I actually did, like, that's how, holy crap, that broke me, you know, because I always looked at her like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know you guys hear this a lot, but my camera's about to die. I feel like we can continue talking about this.
Man, we can. We
'cause
can
there's
definitely pick
so
up.
many more stories, y'all. But just know if you're going through something similar, that it is possible. It is nowhere near perfect at all.
Never.
At all. But there's ways to get through it, and there's ways to you know, it sounds cliche, but there's way for love to conquer it,
Yeah.
and for families to get through it. Whether you're white, black, Mexican, gay, straight Portuguese. I don't know why I said Portuguese. Hawaiian. Whatever you are.
YouTuber, not a
Chinese, I don't
YouTuber.
care. Yeah, YouTuber, whatever you are, y'all. It's not perfect, but sometimes it is perfectly imperfect. Y'all already know. So thank you guys. That was cheesy.
That was cheesy.
That was hella
But
cheesy.
I love that.
That was lasagna.
Nah.
Cheesy. That was even cheesier, right? Anyway, I'm done with the cheese, y'all.
Why? Because I like cheese.
That was cheesy. We just cheesing this shit up. All right, listen. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the amazing love. Please let us know. I don't expect many people to watch this video, but I really love this video.
If you did watch it and you're interested in this conversation or anything around this conversation, give us a couple of questions in the comments so that we can answer them in the next video, or even roll off of those and figure out, you know, talk more about something that you're more interested in. I'd be curious to see if you had a lifestyle like this, or if you've experienced something like this. That way we can relate.
Yeah. So there you go, man. Thank you guys for the amazing love. Please let us know down below if there's anything you want us to answer. Maybe a different topic with family, music video, whatever, and we'll get back at you. Love you forever, Army. We purple you. All that good stuff. We'll see you very soon. Peace.